Hi, and welcome to the hip opening series. Today we are going to guide you through several different postures to help alleviate any kind of tightness around the hips, around the piriformis, psoas. So I want to just kind of break down to you a couple different options and just let you know that if at any point you are experiencing pain in the knees, gently come out of it. You can use props to support your body, but I want to make sure that you are comfortable in all of these hip stretches. If you've ever done hip stretches, you know that they are already painful to begin with, so we don't need to add a little extra. So most of these you probably have done before. Some of them may be new to you, but we're just going to begin on all fours, hands and knees. And we'll start with some hip circles. So walk the hands slightly forward, and we're just going to start to make little circles with the hips. So we want to kind of lubricate the hips before we go into any kind of deep stretching. So just moving in one direction first. And then we'll go ahead and move opposite direction. And then allowing yourself to come back to your little box position, all fours, hands and knees, walking the hands back so that the wrists are directly in alignment with the shoulders. We'll take a couple cat-cows. Inhale, arching the back. Exhale and rounding. Inhaling and arching, shoulders slide down away from the ears. Exhale, rounding, chin to chest. One more, inhale, arch. Exhale and round. Nice. Let's go ahead and slide our right knee to our right wrist. So we're going to come into a pigeon position first. And I always like to take a couple moments to hang out here. So generally we only open up one portion of the hips, but we do know everything is connected. So finding this kind of psoas hip stretch, this is going to help to release back body as well. No gripping in the front helps, no gripping on the sides, no gripping in the back. So I want you to feel that little stretch in the front of that left hip flexor first. So this is pretty intense. You can just stay right here. We'll take about 3 breaths here. And then whenever you're ready, you can come into your sleeping pigeon, walking the elbows forward, maybe making a little pillow for your forehead. But we'll take about a minute here in this deep hip stretch. I want you to try and make sure that the hips are level. We're not falling over onto that right sitting bone. You do need a little extra if there is any sensation going on in that right knee. Take a block, prop it under the right sitting bone, take a blanket, fold it up, place it underneath the right sitting bone. But we'll be here about 5 breaths. Allow the shoulders to relax, allow your body to relax, and deep inhales through the nose and out of the nose. And wherever you can, try and focus on those sensations. Try and send your breath to those areas of your back body, of your hips that feel this. You're doing great, staying for 2 more breaths. And at the bottom of this next exhale, you're going to slowly walk the hands all the way back up, revisiting that left hip flexor stretch. And then I want you to just slide that left knee forward. So I'm going to go ahead and turn. And so with the left knee at the right foot, we're just going to try and find a little seat for a moment. So this has to do with a little SI stabilizing. So bringing balance and harmony into the sacrum will also help our hips. So I want you to keep that hand by your side, and we're just going to take that left hand, rolling the hip forward, and as you exhale, bring it back and down. We'll do that 2 more times. Inhale, rolling forward, exhale, back and down. 1 more time, roll it forward, exhale, back and down. So we're going to take a little variation, walking the hands forward, finding a hip stretch here. Take about 3 breaths. I'll go back to that side profile of what this looks like. This is also a nice variation in your pigeon, but you want to kind of have that shin parallel to the front edge of your mat, or almost like a figure 4 leg. And we'll stay here just about 3 to 4 more breaths. You'll feel this a lot more in the glute, a lot more in the right side of the leg. We've got 1 more breath together. Deep inhale through the nose. Slowly come all the way up. Walk the hands back into the body. And we'll just go ahead and swing that left leg forward. So taking the hands behind us, we'll just pause for a moment, dropping both knees over to the right, back to center, both knees over to the left. Do that a couple more times. Right and left. Good. Making your way back onto all 4s, hands and knees. Let's come back into cat-cow now. We'll take it on the other side. Inhale, arch. Exhale and round. Inhale, arch. Exhale and round. Good. From here, walking the fingertips forward, we're going to slide that left knee up to the left wrist. We're going to walk the right knee back and just pause in our pigeon prep. So once again, I want you to find that sensation on the front of the right hip. That right hip flexor may be going deep into the psoas muscle, sliding the shoulder blades down. You might even want to look up, just briefly feeling this stretch here before we walk the hands forward and come down into our pigeon pose. I gave you this variation last time. I'll revisit it here. You can bring a block, place it under the forehead. You can take a blanket, or you can go ahead and rest the forehead on top of the palms. And beginning to feel that opening in the left hip, left piriformis. If you ever need more of a hip stretch or want to increase the kind of stretch itself, bring that heel further away from your hips. So ideally, eventually, we kind of have this paralleling between the front edge of our mat and our shin. We'll just stay here for about 3 more rounds of breath. See if you can find that length and opening around the hips, around the low back. And taking last breath here, inhale through the nose. And exhaling all the breath out, we'll begin to walk the hands back into the body. Let's slide that right knee up. And then let's scoot that heel forward once again, and hopefully you can see I've got this paralleling between my shin and the front edge of the mat. I'm going to turn back to face you so that you can kind of see what this looks like, but taking the right hand into the right hip, left hand beside you, roll that hip forward and then bring it back. So going into our SI stabilizing, hip comes forward, taking it back. 1 more time, hip comes forward. Exhale, take it back and pause. We'll walk into our little variation of this hip stretch, going as far as you can, maybe making it down onto forearms. Maybe you stay onto fingertips and it's just a hinging from the hips. And we'll be here 5 breaths. I want you to see if you can kind of compare this to the first side, just noticing any differences of where you feel the stretch, what you notice. We're really always working towards a state of balance in the body. whether that is a balance between right and left side or a balance between front and back body. But we are always working towards a state of balance. Taking your last 2 rounds of breath. Making sure it's a complete inhalation, complete exhalation. And coming all the way back up. We'll return back to kind of this relaxed W shape or M shape, and we'll just rock right to left, evening out those hips again. And that is your little hip opening series for today.